All right, guys, what is up? Welcome in a special edition of GC Live. We are in downtown Columbia, South Carolina, right underneath the State House for a special edition here live at the Halls Chophouse kickoff party with Cocky Hospitality and with our friends CB90 over here. And as you see here, we've got a very special guest kicking it off with us here, South Carolina softball coach Ashley Chastain Woodard. Coach, I know it's been a busy off season for you, coming off of a very exciting regular season for you. First of all, how have you been doing, and how are you getting settled in with a new team as you guys kind of get started?
Yeah, it's been a great off season. You know, the staff and I worked really hard. We had a lot of really great talent to replace. You know, we lost a lot of really great players. Just their eligibility ending, and so we've been hard at work trying to build the roster through the summer, and we've been training for a few weeks. We're really excited about the new group, got a lot of really great faces to really introduce to everyone because we do have a lot of new players.
Well, and I know in today's modern any athletics right now, there's going to be roster turnover. Luckily for you guys, for the most part, it was kind of just natural graduation as opposed to losing contributing players to the portal. But I do know you had to go out and fill some holes at the portal yourself, just like everybody does. I think 10 new players from the portal. How is that aspect of going out, trying to find not just the right athletes, but the right humans to fit in with your culture?
Yeah, I mean, we really believe that the people are going to help operate our system the way we want to. So we really try to vet out everyone that we talked to in the portal. And the portal was, you know, hot and heavy, you know, as it typically is these days in early June. I mean, the portal was open for us as we went into the Super Regional. So the portal was open for the end of postseason, and then we spent the month of June just making sure that we found the right people and found a lot of players that have South Carolina roots, which you know is important to us, and brought them home. And but really excited about Tate Davis. She's from Greer, South Carolina. She's a true sophomore. She's been her first year at Ole Miss, and she got a lot of experience in the fact of she went to the World Series with the team. Like, she knows what it feels like to win on a high level. You know, she just didn't get to contribute as much there. So we're really looking to grow her skill set and just develop her into a great player for us. And we've got Alyssa Hovermill. We call her Lou. So if I start talking about Lou, I'm talking about Alyssa Hovermill from Florida, who I think Lou is a lot like Q's background, not the same player. She's a righty third baseman, but in the fact of she was highly recruited and ranked out of high school, but didn't get to play a lot at Florida, was hurt here and there a little bit. So wanted a fresh start somewhere, and I think she's someone that has a lot of talent that just hasn't been tapped into yet. So we've got a lot of that, and we have a tall task to replace Brooke Blankenship and Ella Chansey on the left side of the infield, so we're heavily focused on that. But also added Emma Friedel from Kennesaw State. The program at Kennesaw State didn't have as much success as you would like probably on paper to bring someone in from the program, but if you really look at just Emma's stats, she had a stellar year pitching, and so we brought her in. We've added some depth in the bullpen.
I know you obviously got great outings from Sam and from Jory, and they really carried you as the year progressed, and you had to lean on them. How do you feel about kind of being able to add that depth and feeling like maybe you'll be able to just manage things a little bit more in terms of not having to rely on two arms the most, I guess?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's huge to be able to spread the usage of innings out early. You know, we play a lot of games, especially early in the preseason in February. So being able to get everybody some experience and exposure just helps us keep the emerging ace in the two fresh for SEC play and into postseason. So I'm really excited about Emma Friedel. I tell you, Neely Lamb, I'm really proud of her. She stayed in Columbia over the summer. She trained really hard. I think this is going to be the breakout year for Neely Lamb. I swear, everywhere I go in the state of South Carolina, I don't meet someone that doesn't say to me, I know Neely Lamb. So I think Neely's going to have a breakout year this year as, you know, a junior, but a second year with us. So, you know, it's going to be fantastic watching her develop again in the off season here. And then Jory obviously has the most experience. I mean, she's going to emerge as the ace, and, you know, just preparing her for the mental aspect of that, you know, because it is a little bit of a burden at times being the one that everyone looks to for success. But I also want to mention Josie Marin. She came from Mississippi State and has proven success in the league. If you look back on her career, 2 seasons ago, she had a really good season inside the SEC. So a lot of depth, which is always good.
Yeah, lots of talent to work with there. You can tell that this is a football game day weekend because Sir Big Spur literally just drove by. So lots of exciting things going on here at Halls. big game tomorrow, home opener. I know you made it to Atlanta, right?
I did. I was there on Sunday in Atlanta, and I just have to say the atmosphere was electric. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night here at Willie B, because I know if the atmosphere was that good in Atlanta, how it's going to feel. Just I get goosebumps thinking about it. And but we had a great time on Sunday. I think the team played really well. So super excited for Shane and his whole staff. I know they work really hard, and we're just really behind him and what he's doing.
I know every coach is gonna, they're gonna talk up their school. They're gonna be, this is my dream job. This is, I'm a Gamecock for life now. But you truly lived it. You went here. You played here. We all know how much this place means to you. But what is Ashley Chastain-Woodard doing when Bakari Swain returns that punt for touchdown that just changed the game? Like, are you just like any other fan at that point, jumping all over people? Like, what was your reaction as that was happening?
I probably looked just like any other Gamecock in the stands. I actually had my 2.5-year-old niece, Audrey May, at the game with me. And if you watch this on TV at all, you probably saw her in the front row of the stands last season. But she is a true Gamecock already at 2.5, which, I wouldn't have it any other way. So I have taught her all the cheers and the chants, and she loves nothing more than to wave a white towel very aggressively. So she was with me at the game, and so her and I were probably having a lot of fun waving the towels.
Starting them very, very young,
Yes.
which is good. I know that you guys kind of lean on these football atmospheres too with your recruits.
Yeah.
Obviously, at this point, you can't talk about specific recruits, but just in generally speaking, how much do you guys lean on these weekends to get prospects in and then let them see, Gamecock Nation, just be out there and see what that's all about?
It's huge for us. I mean, the atmosphere is something that draws a lot of recruits in. They love feeling it. They love just being in the stadium and feeling how electric everyone and the support, so it's huge for us. We like to bring in a lot of recruits on football weekends and give them the experience that they'll have when they're students. And, I think I almost have tears in my eyes at kickoff every time we play a game at Williams-Brice. And so it's special. And typically that's always a factor when we get recruits to commit. They talk about the feelings that they had, in the football arena and just like the whole atmosphere. So it's definitely something that helps.
Big win tomorrow, you think?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I think this is going to be just a fun night for everybody. Hopefully, lots of players get in. Maybe a game where you can get some of the guys who don't normally play in the game. Lots of parents, I think, are going to be in town this weekend just around Gamecock Nation. This place is buzzing, so I know everybody here is excited. Before we let you get out of here, I do want to go back to your team a little bit more. What is that process like right now as you're kind of trying to meld together your high school newcomers, your transfer newcomers, and your girls that already know what this program's all about? I know last year was probably even more interesting because there's so many dynamics as a new coach. But going into year 2, what is that approach like as far as like building that locker room culture?
Yeah, I think for me right now, it feels very similar to last year. I think the only difference is maybe the staff has obviously got a year underneath, the belt and the experience. So, it kind of feels like we have 3 different groups of people again, the returners, the freshmen, and the transfers. So it does feel a little bit like we've got to just make sure that we pour into one identity of being South Carolina, no matter what your status is in the program or where you come from, which is a lot of what we focused on last year as well. So, we just really believe that the culture is lived out by the players. It's not just words on a wall. And, the time that we spend in the off season and the fall is just so important to the success that we have late in the season. So it's fun. This is some of my favorite times of the year right now, of just getting to know everybody and building the connections necessary to be really successful in the field.
In a time of development, I'm sure, in terms of like the work they put in now is what is going to play itself out on the field, months from now. We've talked so much about, a lot of people that are new to the program. Let's give some love to kind of your core that is back. Obviously, I noticed, I think you're as proud about Ari's gold glove as you are maybe about what she did at the plate. So I know that was special. Your right side of the infield is all back, which has got to be good to just know you're going to pencil in Ari and Carly over there every game.
Yeah. I think if you really look statistically at the lineup, we're returning our 4 best offensive players from last year with Carly, Rhodey, Lexi Winters, and Quincy Lelio. So it'll be, I think, interesting to see how the rest of it kind of shakes out of, do we leave those guys together? And there's still so much time to figure that out, which is what we use the fall for. But really excited about returning those guys. This is Lexi and Ari's senior year, Q's senior year. And so typically when you have the urgency of like, okay, this is it, they take on a sense of leadership and a maturity that they pass along to everyone around them. So I'm really excited about just the leadership of those guys. And then Carly Shelton is now entering the back half of her career. And usually you feel a turning point of just maturity. And so I feel like Carly's going to be able to really lead people around her too. She had so much success last year, which usually gives them confidence to lead more. So we're returning a great group. I wish I could keep them all forever, as a coach, but we just like to celebrate them no matter what part of their journey they're on. So really excited about those four. And then obviously Jory Hurd, returning her experience in the circles with those four of the mix is important.
I know, they're all special to you, but I know Lexi is definitely special to you. Her being able to come back home last year and experience that. But fair or not, I had her in my mind as like a defensive specialist when she got here, just looking at the numbers. And then she's moving up into SEC play. And then she was phenomenal in the middle of the order for you guys. What did you see from her this past season in terms of her stats just taking a huge jump up?
Yeah, Winnie is seen as a catcher one, which she is. She's one of the most elite catchers in the country when it comes to ball management, strike management, the umpire, all the things. But I do think she took a next step in her offensive game this past season. And I know if she was here and you were asking her, what does she really want to continue to focus on? She's going to 100% say offense, and that's just how she is. Like, she wants to continue to get better. What impresses me about Lexi Winters is she doesn't strike out a lot. So if you really look at the numbers, she has a ton of really good bat ball skills. She makes a lot of contact with the ball. So if we have runners on base and scoring position with less than 2, she's always productive for us because she's putting the ball in play. So just really proud of her. And I think she's going to have even better of an offensive year this upcoming season.
I know you brought in maybe a little bit of help at catcher from the portal as well, just in terms of having some depth. And let's tie that in. I'm always curious, what goes into deciding who the DP is going to be in terms of like the versatility of your lineup and moving people around? How do you maybe see that playing out this year too?
Yeah, we brought in Jamie McKay, who has such a cool story that I think Gamecock Nation is going to love, and we're going to try to get her story out. But she is she's a baseball player. She played baseball her whole life, and then right up until the time she went to college, she transitioned to softball. And so she has a cannon of an arm. She's on Team USA baseball. She's in the Team USA system for baseball. She's actually going to training camp for a week in October. So just a really cool story and her journey to the game. And obviously wanted to play softball in college, so made the transition. And I would be really interested to know if you asked her like what the biggest differences were when she transitioned, because I think it's probably backspin and the fact that the bases are so much closer. But she's a great catcher. She's got a ton of experience. She has a great arm. So I think for us, we have a lot of confidence in her and her experiences that like we really are looking at it as, 1A and 1B when it comes to Winnie and Jamie. So I think, you'll see Jamie behind the plate, especially this fall. I think our pitching staff needs to get to know her. And, it's just nice to have two that you can go to. And then from a DP standpoint, the other one that's not catching, will they be the DP? I think I could see that evolving, if we're in January, close to season, talking about it. But again, still so much to be determined on whether that's how it'll work out. But typically it's the bat that's in the dugout that can't play defense because of how the lineup is structured. That goes to the DP. Yeah.
Coach, before I let you get out of here, when can they come see you guys next? Because y'all have it's fall scrimmages that are completely open to the public, right?
Yes. The South Carolina Nats.
Yes, they have they have found us.
They found us.
And they are attacking.
Didn't take long.
Yeah.
So we start team practice on September 16th. And it's open practice. The gates are usually open. If you want to come by and see the team, more than welcome to. It's always open and free. And then we have 4 games here in Columbia that we launched on the website last week. So you can go out and see those dates. We play PC, Winthrop. We actually go on the road twice. So we go to Coastal. I thought it was really valuable to get the team on a bus, take them not too far away, but to a great facility, a great program. They have a lot of technology there that, just kind of matches the feel of the spring. So we're going to Coastal, and then we're going on a team retreat to Charleston. And while we're in Charleston, we're going to play College of Charleston on Friday night before we come home. So that really worked out for us. But 6 opportunities to see the team live against another opponent. And then we typically inter-squad at least once a week. Okay. So the week of, we try to get those out on social just to update first pitch time. And, we like to go full uniform at times, umpires, and make it as game-like as possible. So it will be worth your time if you want to come out and see the team, garnet and black kind of feel going against each other throughout the fall.
Coach, congrats again on a great year one.
Thank you.
We're all excited for year two, and enjoy the games this weekend, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach. Yep, good to see you as always. That is Coach Ashley Chastain-Woodard. She's going to be hanging out here for a little bit if you're in the area. We'll let Chris roll back in here, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll be watching the Gamecock win tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So let Chris tell us his prediction on the game here in a second. Again, if you're just joining us, y'all come out and hang out at Halls Chophouse. We are right under, of course, the State House and having a great time. Getting ready for South Carolina versus SC State at the happy hour event. And we did not tell you about them earlier, so let me go ahead and tell you about one of our awesome sponsors here. As always, GC Live is presented by our guy, Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans, ClintHammond.com, 803-422-6797, NMLS number 71597. Chris, I was just telling him about our guy, Clint Hammond, the best in the biz, no doubt, right?
There's no doubt about it. Talk about some mortgage stuff, but also talk about some Gamecock stuff. Clint's always fired up about the Gamecocks.
Dude, I saw you milling around back here. Looks like some of the Gamecock fans that you see make it out to all these events. They are here. They are present. Some folks I recognize, some folks I don't. So we got a great crowd back there. What were your early impressions of the kickoff party so far here?
This thing's been awesome. They've done a great job with it. They just brought out some apps, Wes.
Did you partake?
I've not partaken yet. I've been talking. I didn't want you to, when Coach finished up, I didn't want you looking back and I'm like eating sliders and stuff, like hold on a minute and just kind of leave you hanging. But after this, yeah, I'm over there. So people are enjoying food, drinks, great time out here.
Yeah, we're going all in. Gamecock retweeter says, Chris comes in with a cup and a smile. I think that's just coffee, honestly.
It's a tea, actually.
It's a tea. Oh, yeah.
High class
tea.
Yes. Excuse me.
Tea. What's up, Jeff 2001? Hope you are well. Craig says he needs the On-3 Polo. I think you can buy those. Our girl Katie is here taking photos as well. What's up, Katie? Shout out to Katie. Capturing the moments as she always does. Chris, some of this, if they listen to your show yesterday with Kev and the radio show, some of this we've already hit on, but let's dive into the game a little bit for folks who may have missed it. And, I think this is an opportunity for one to, you hope, get some of the other guys on the field. And I look at it as an opportunity to maybe just kind of go play without the pressure of last week. Like at some point in that game last week, you're going, man, just got to get out of here with a win. Like give the ball to 16. The punt return was obviously massive, but I look at this as maybe a chance to get some of those young receivers involved, maybe even a third running back. We saw the first two, maybe the young edge guys. We know JT Gear is not going to be able to play. So is this more of an opportunity for Dezumi Zulu to get in there more, for Anthony Addison to make his debut? And then in a second, we're talking about Shed Surratt. We know he's going to make his debut. So what are you just looking to see other than a win? What do you think would make for a good Saturday for South Carolina fans?
Yeah, it's a different conversation this week. Like you said, obviously everything I'm going to say is prefaced with go get a win. And some of the things I'm going to say here and that you just hit on, you got to preface with not only get a win, but do it early and comfortably to where you can do it, right? So, I think there's so many opportunities to see some things here. We saw, like you said, the top two running backs last week, and I think Isaiah Augusta played 3 snaps, something like that. Didn't really see him.
He was in, but didn't get a carry, I think.
Didn't get a carry. I'd like to see him. I want to see Matt Fuller, who we saw just a snippet of last year. He took 8 carries in one game. Would love to see him. Would love to see Jawarn Howell, the 2025 version, right? So those are some guys. Obviously, the freshman receivers, we saw 3 of those 6 last week. We saw Murph. We saw Rowe. We saw Jaden Sellers. Of course, I want to see more of them. Can the others break through and get on the field? And then going to the defensive side of the ball, I think your report that you had 7 true freshmen overall, something like that, against Virginia Tech. Do we see maybe some of those linebackers out of that talented class get on the field early? Anthony Addison, Quay Dodd, another guy at edge. Just really curious to see those guys. And then when we're closing out talking about new players, I think end with the quarterback situation, right? I think quarterback number 2, the second guy we're going to see in this game, assuming they can get there, is Luedecke. He's earned it. He's the number 2 guy. He's earned the ability, I think, to go in there and play. That's what I think the coaching staff will do. But do we see some Cutter Woods and Air Nolan in this game? Maybe. And I think we'd love to see that.
I think a lot of fans would. That is the beauty of games like this. Like, it's not the same. Frankly, it's just not the same as like an SEC battle into the fourth quarter. But if you stick around, you will get to see, in some cases, the future of the program. You will get to see, in some cases, the kind of maybe the guys are going to have to play a role later this year as you start to get into the depth of your roster. So that, to me, is what they are very much good for. And it's going to be a sellout, man. So it's not like this is going to be one of those games where it's just kind of dull, not any atmosphere, stuff like that. I think, for one, the fact that it is the home opener plays into that. But just the general excitement around the program right now is, I believe, the highest we've seen in quite some time. And, I believe it's probably something that is – I mean, they were sold out of season tickets.
Yep.
They got as many donations as they've ever had this past offseason. And I just think there's a different vibe right now from what it was certainly when Shane Beamer took over.
Well, and another data point there, I feel like that word's getting overused since the college football playoff, since Ward Manuel used it, but maybe just kind of put it in our minds. We're at Tailgate West, you've been over there, Carolina Haven, they've got the cockpit down the road. I checked in with those guys the other day. How are things going? And we've been sold out for 2 months. And I don't ever remember hearing that. I think for the first time, maybe ever, or certainly in quite a while since we've had kind of the newer configuration around the stadium, there's like no parking anywhere. Like, it is sold out. So people are definitely excited. And I think even though, like you said, it's not the SEC battle, it's still the first chance to see the Gamecocks this year, coming off of last year, coming off a big win in Atlanta, and people are fired up.
I talked about this earlier this week. Maybe not on this show. Top 10 now. There's a certain spotlight that comes with being in the top 10 that just does not exist otherwise. Being in top 25, that's great, especially if you've been trying to knock on the door of that. It's fantastic, and you celebrate it. I don't think if you're Beamer, if you're the staff, you're not celebrating being in the top 10 yet, but I do think it just says something. And I got to thinking about, when College Game Day is showing their graphic of the games for that week, a lot of times they'll pop up the top 10. If you throw on, the primetime game, I was watching, what would it have been? The UNC and TCU debacle, if you're UNC. What are they putting up? At some point in that game, they are going to put up a national perspective, and it's going to be the top 10. It's going to be like, hey, this team lost, this team won, this team lost. So now every single time that's talked about, South Carolina, their logo, their name is up there. They're going to be talked about as well. It's going to be, South Carolina plays SC State this week. You will get to the point, I believe there's a vast difference between being talked about because of who your opponent is and being talked about because of you. And so South Carolina as an SEC program always was at the point where they're going to be talked about at times when you're playing, a top 5 team in the country. Now you start to get to the point where you're being talked about because of you, because of who you are. And I think that's great. There's also a certain amount of pressure that comes along with that.
Yeah.
Maybe not this week. Get into SEC play, though. There's plenty of pressure.
Yeah, as soon as you go up there and you pop in the top 10, and it's, hey, South Carolina with the first SEC test against Vanderbilt. Then you got Kentucky. Then you got Missouri. And then certainly if you can survive those first 5, now it really, it really turns on. And so what you don't want is, hey, you're in the top 10, you're getting some love like Bama, and they're popping you up there and saying, ooh, that's tough, right? And nobody's saying that South Carolina is expected to get through the schedule that they have completely unscathed. If they can do that, there might be a statue of Shane Beamer like across the street on the State House steps too, in addition to on campus, Wes. But it is different. Like, people are talking about you. That's great. But man, the message in that building right now has got to be, hey, people didn't believe in you at this particular time. Now maybe some people are believing in you. We got to tune all that out and go take care of business.
Yeah, and I truly believe more than anything, the way this season is going to go, partially is going to be determined by can you stay healthy at the major spots. Partially will be dependent on can you gradually improve on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to say, I know a lot of people have already thrown their hands up on the O-line. I'm not ready to say that yet. And I actually think if you go back and look, you played pretty well on the right side of the line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Boaz Stanley, I thought, had a very solid debut for South Carolina. Trayvon Ball, who, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, he won the Cock Blocker of the Week award.
That he did.
Which is, so Jeff, CB90, that's his award at CB18. Phenomenal.
What a
Phenomenal. So good. Case and Henry played well. I think, you know, you've got to solidify that left guard spot. And it appears we're going to get the debut of Shed Surratt. We'll see if that means starting, see if that means going out there later on. I tend to think he's going to be in the game pretty early, if not in the starting lineup. So, Chris, what are you expecting from Shed, who we really have been hearing about, some buzz about him all, I guess, offseason?
So here's the thing about Shed. He and a few others, and remember RJ Newsome, and I think Shed's injury or Shed being out for a while put him even more back in contention. Remember RJ Newsome kind of started here and he was making that late push. He ends up starting. Nick Sharp had missed some time in the spring that kind of lingered over. So maybe he's kind of getting back into it. And so RJ Newsome starts. Marquis Anderson comes in. I thought did some good things at times in the game. But Shed Surratt's the guy that's very interesting. Normally, Wes, you don't want to be in a position where you're going, all right, if we can just get this freshman offensive lineman ready, this will really stabilize things. However, there were some signs and indications that maybe he's the best guy, potentially. You certainly could make that leap with some of the things that you heard throughout spring ball. And it wasn't just, hey, Shed's the best guy, and other than that, it's kind of a struggle. It was really based on his own merit and what he had done and how impressive he had been, I think, as a freshman especially. You put it in that, kind of look at it through that lens. So even though it's weird to say, hey, plug this freshman in, if he's the best guy, he could help stabilize that thing. And I think that's what you look at from the Virginia Tech game and say, that's the area you really identify and say, this has got to be the one thing, if you had to pick, that should improve.
Yeah, and, he's someone who, from what I've heard, part of the reason why he's been able to just kind of just settle in so quickly is the football IQ. Like, this kid, everybody comes along at their own pace, and some guys are just naturally able to just get it quickly, and that's him. So I think in a perfect scenario, you plug him into this thing pretty early, man, and try to use this week to get to stick. I know you want to get some different guys in, but that would be the one position where I maybe want my 5 guys getting as many reps as possible, continuing to gel. We talked all offseason about how much roster churn there is in college football these days. Think about the O-line and how that is a spot where continuity is important, and it is hard. I've got fairly high expectations for this O-line this year. I've said that. They didn't play to what I thought they would, to be honest with you. But when you think about it, it is just hard to all come together year in, year out when there is a lot of just change throughout your roster, but certainly at that position. So can you just gradually get – I think Sellers can save you long enough. But if you're going to have the year that everybody looks back on and says, that was a special year, like that was the year, it does have to gradually get better. It just has to. The other part of that, though, the schedule actually sets up fairly well for that very thing.
It does. Well, and another question I think that we've got to ask is, how good is Virginia Tech up front? Because when I watch them, and, you always are trying to watch, if one unit is sometimes getting the better of another one, what does that mean? Is that defensive line that good? Is it the opposition is that bad? Is it somewhere? Frequently, it's somewhere in between there, right? I think just eyeball test, Wes. I think Virginia Tech's got some guys in the front 6 that can play.
Yeah.
Now, here's the flip side of that is a very good argument. Okay, if they're good, so are a lot of the other teams, most of the teams on South Carolina's schedule. So that does not take away at all the point that you made, which is, you've got to improve over the course of the year. And so, look, I think, again, every part of the offensive line, I think, has got to improve. I think Lenore Sellers got to get the ball out faster in some situations. But I think if you can stabilize left guard, can Surratt start doing that this week?
Yeah, I like the Kamari Copeland kid for Virginia Tech. Talented kid. They had some guys up front. I will be, as Jeff says, I wish the VT Vandy game was at a different time on Saturday. Agreed. I will be very curious to see what this VT team does as the year progresses, because I have some questions about their offensive line. Like, that's the part where I'm saying, Carolina D-line, they were better than I really expected on the interior. Yeah. I'm trying to be reasonable about it. How much of that, is VT having struggles putting together their O-line? The other side, though, that Drones, if he is on, can win games for you. I thought they had two pretty solid backs. The receivers at VT are obviously making some plays. Now, they had some drops overall. That was not all by wide receivers. That was from tight end here or running back there. Their receivers went out and made plays on the ball to the extent that people are going, what's up with Carolina's DBs on some of those plays? Yeah. So credit to them for that. Their linebackers are pretty good. That's a VT team I truly believe can, we may look back on that and be like, that was a pretty solid win for South Carolina. I'm not saying for sure, you never know in a week one, but I do think there's a chance that we're saying that down the road, and I will be very curious to see. I mean, who do you have in VT and Vandy? I
actually picked VT.
Pick VT?
It's in Blacksburg. That was a slight factor. But, yeah, I picked VT. I thought defensively they looked pretty good. I thought that if it were not for Lenora Sellers being Lenora Sellers, they would have made a lot more plays. Diego Pavia, as we know, is really, really good. He's very elusive. He's not quite Sellers in terms of being able to squat a 300-pound guy off of his back, right? But, I picked VT. What did you think?
I picked Vandy because of Pavia, but and Vandy brings back, their entire defense.
Yeah.
That said, he is not just throwing. People try to go high on Sellers, I think, and it just doesn't work. And, he's just Pavia is so much smaller than Sellers. They will probably get to him and have a little bit more success. But, the game between those two last year was very, very tight. Wasn't that an overtime game? I think it was.
Very tight.
So, those games typically, they're so hard to predict. It's just about who makes a fourth quarter, or in that case, makes an overtime play to go win the game. So, we'll see on that. But that'll be a good preview for everybody for Vandy for next week. Coming here to Columbia. Can't get too far ahead of ourselves, but this first 5-game stretch for South Carolina, I keep going to that Missouri game.
Yeah.
Gonna be so key. But there's another day to talk about that. I was trying to see, Chris, if we were going to get any other guests on here. Everybody seems to be locked in and having a good time. I know they've got, if you're in the area and you were thinking about coming over, you already got, I believe it's a ticketed event. So, but if you've got tickets and you haven't made it out, come on out. We've got live music. I believe it's kicking off in about 13 minutes. So at that point, I'm sure they will shut us up. And we got Miss Hopkins over there, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Mr. and Mrs.
We got both of them here. I saw some of the softball team roll through. I know there were some other folks invited. I think Eli Ellis was invited. I don't know if Eli's going to make it. We'll see. But a great event going on nonetheless.
Yeah. Eli comes out, we'll see if we can get him on here. But
if Eli comes out, we're going to restart the stream and
make them shut the music off too.
Yeah.
Get him out
just to see what Eli's talking about.
Yeah, but I'm ready for the the home opener. I'm ready for it. Not a great slate of games tomorrow, and I don't want to say the one game I wanted to watch, but for our purposes, I am very intrigued by that Virginia Tech Vandy game we were just talking about, and it's at 7:00. So gonna have to go back and watch that guy later. But excited for tomorrow night, man.
Oklahoma, Michigan.
Oklahoma, Michigan's a good one.
Also at night.
So at night.
I think it was Josh. Was it Josh Pate? It was one of the national guys that tweeted today, what a big game for Venables. You
Huge
know,
game.
like
Yeah, big game, big year for them. And I think that's one of the teams that's getting a lot of preseason love because they were good last year defensively. You figure a Brent Venables team is going to be salty defensively again. Yeah, they lost some guys, but they've got some players there. He does a great job. Very involved with the defense, obviously. Can they be better on offense? And that's in some ways a low bar to clear because they were really bad last year at times. But John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle, the new offensive coordinator, they worked together at Washington State. They had a good start in week 1, but what does that look like when they get to SEC play?
all right, we got a special guest joining us on the fly. Ari Rhodey. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you. We just had Coach on earlier, so she said we may get some softball players. So guess what? You drew the short straw or the long straw. I don't know. If you're excited about this, you drew the good straw.
Okay.
But are you going to the game tomorrow?
I am.
Okay. So for those who don't know, we had Ari on our radio show. We definitely did it this past offseason, but we did it 2 off seasons ago when you first got here.
Yes.
And I think you had just experienced South Carolina SEC football for the first time.
Yep.
So will you tell these fans what your first Gamecock experience was like? And I think you're a super fan now from what I've heard.
I am. All I can really remember from my first game was seeing Cocky come out of the Cockaboose to 2001, and it was life-changing. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. And so now whenever we go to football games, like I take someone for the first time, like we need to get there for 6:35 kickoff or 6:35 pregame because that might be the only part you remember. Like you're gonna remember the score, but that is the part you're gonna remember is the pregame.
Ari, on the field this year, I know you hit a lot of home runs, but Coach has been bragging to everyone about this Gold Glove of yours. Was that a goal of yours? Did you think that might be something you could win this year? Like, I feel like we all talk about what you do at the plate, but I got to imagine you've got pride in your defense as well.
Yeah, I mean, defensively is something, my defensive game is something that I've always taken a lot of pride in. You normally don't see a lot of true first basemen. You see a lot of, athletic girls just being put at first base because they can hit. So I take pride in, always playing that position and knowing how to play it the correct way. I just strive myself I know I have the offensive side, but I want my defensive side to be as good. So, I can be the complete player. So that was never a goal of mine, but I was definitely honored and very grateful that I received it.
Now, do you have the award yet? Or does
I have it.
Okay, all right. Somebody told me Coach was hoarding it in her office, or maybe there's 2. Is there 2 versions? Or?
She was hoarding it for a little bit, but then she has a duplicate coming in, so I got mine finally.
Okay, all right, finally. I know she was very proud of that, though, so that's very cool. How's it been getting to know the newcomers? I know a few freshmen, about 10 transfers. How's it been kind of turning the page to the new year?
It's been really good. I mean, we've meshed really well as a group this year. Lexi Winters and and Natalie Heath, we've had the whole team come over to our house for a pizza party one night and, breaking that barrier and just getting to know each other on and off the field has been really good. So I think it's going really well. And, we're only going to get stronger and closer together.
All right. You're going to the game tomorrow.
Yep.
Big Gamecock win. Do we have a prediction?
I'm saying 51-7.
Okay. All right. You've heard it right here. Ari Rhodey says big Gamecock win, 51-7. All right. We'll let you get back to your teammates. Thanks for dropping by. Good to see you as always.
Good
okay.
to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Ari. That is Ari Rhodey, South Carolina first baseman. Go check out Gamecock softball this year. We'll get Chris back in here in a second as we close this thing out. And like I said, come on down. We are here live at Halls Chophouse. If you got tickets to the event, if you didn't come to this one, definitely make sure to come to the next one. Sorry to just kick you out, Chris, but we had the home run queen walk by.
Yeah.
So I just took the opportunity to get her on here.
That worked out well.
I don't think she had a choice. I was like, you're on.
You're right here. That's good. Always good to hear from Ari. Whoop, knocking stuff over.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We're the show here is about over, but the party is not over. I'm excited to get back here, hang out with some folks, and cool event, Chris. And be on the lookout We're going to have complete coverage, of course, on Gamecock Central throughout the weekend of the game, after the game. We'll be back on GC Live on Monday as well. And real quick, before we do close down, recruiting this weekend.
Yep.
Dude, pretty nice list considering, again, it's not a big SEC game. It is a night game. It's the home opener. And one Trent Seaborn, big-time 22-7 quarterback, will be on campus again.
Yeah, several four-star guys or otherwise priority guys, some local guys. But I think if you're looking at kind of the headliner maybe in terms of fans, he's a quarterback, so that's number one. People love talking quarterback recruiting. And this is a guy, Wes, that's been on the recruiting radar since the 8th grade because he led his team in Alabama to a state title win. That'll tend to do it. And been to South Carolina a bunch of times, so heavy mutual interest there. I think things have continued to progress in a positive way for South Carolina with him. He was at camp this summer. He's been back several times. So this is one we're definitely keeping an eye on.
No doubt. Let's see. Craig says Mississippi State, Arizona State could be a sneaky good game.
Yeah.
I do agree that Arizona State's going there, right? Yeah. Could be fun, could be interesting. Would be a great opportunity for Mississippi State to win a game early in that tenure. So we will see what happens there. But, again, complete coverage on Gamecock Central. Did you give a score on this show? I know we did earlier. I don't think you did. What's your final score for South Carolina?
I think I might have given it with Kev, but I might as well say it again. I've got South Carolina 48, SC State 10.
All right, I've got 45-10. I think every sort of score prediction I've seen has been on a similar wavelength to this one. And I liked your point earlier, though. I tend to think South Carolina is going to pull away in this game. How early will it be? Like, I think that's one of those kind of hidden keys. Maybe it doesn't matter in the long run, but in terms of getting guys in the game early, getting some guys in the game that don't necessarily always play, the best way to do that is to go ahead and sort of kind of just put a lock on this game and control the game from the start. And a guy we didn't mention by name earlier, I want to mention a guy that you brought up and you have heard that I've heard the same thing. Don't forget about Malik Clark at wide receiver. There's a little bit of buzz that he had the last few weeks of camp continue to come along as well. I would love to see Malik get out there and make some plays on Saturday too, as these freshman receivers, man, they're all so talented. They continue to kind of jockey for position. So should be fun. Should be a great night at Williams-Brice Stadium. We've got a great night ahead of us here at Halls Chophouse for their kickoff happy hour. Chris, let's give a shout out to Cocky Hospitality, to our guy CB90 to CB90 at the CB18 restaurant as well. And what do you say, man? Let's get out of here and go enjoy the party.
Yeah, let's go get some food.
All right, for Chris, I am Wes.
Thank
Y'all
you,
have
guys.
a great weekend. There's our boy Jeff. Y'all have a good one. And if you're not here, come on down, Halls Chophouse.